This is one of our typical Type 1 fire engines here. These lines are 1 3/4 lines. We call them pre-connect lines. The reason we call them pre-connect lines is because obviously they're pre-connected into the fire apparatus. We don't have to hook them up to any of the discharges. We just pull them off and they're ready to go. They're 200 feet in length and they're capable of up to 200 gallons of water per minute coming out of these lines. The hoses are double jacketed. What that means is there's actually an outer core and an inner core. Obviously inside of a burning building you have a lot of high temperature. A typical hose isn't going to make it, so we have to make these hoses extra thick. The engineer, the person who drives this apparatus, actually has to run all these dials. These are pounds per square inch. He has to do a lot of mathematics. He has to figure out the coefficient of flow through these lines, and he has to figure out exactly how much pressure he needs to pump water through these in order to get the right fire flow to the firefighters at the end of the line. Each of these rigs carry 500 gallons of water. Now 500 gallons seems like a lot of water, but when you consider that our nozzles on the average have 150 gallons per minute, you can do the math at home and you can figure it's not going to last very long. And so what we have are these intakes. These intakes, what they do is they bring water into the rig. And so what they do is once we're going to run low on water, we can bring water in from a fire hydrant and then we have an unlimited water supply. Basically this is like a large pool pump. But instead of pumping about 10 to 15 gallons per minute as the typical pool motor, this is capable of 1,500 gallons of water per minute. Coming over here, this is one of our, what we call this is a forcible entry prop. Okay. What this is, we can move this from building to building. What this mimics is breaking into a door. Obviously when we come to houses, the doors are sometimes locked. We don't have a master key to every single door, so sometimes we have to break these doors open. What we can do is we can actually put these pieces of wood in here and they act as deadbolts. And then what we do is we actually use these tools to help break the door. This is called a Halligan Tool. Okay, so what you have here is a pointed end that can actually smash a lock in. Right here is an adze end that you can actually use to pry a door completely off of its hinges. And so this is the pry end, and we can actually use this also to take the door off. And we use this to actually force open the door. So the door is closed. What they do is they come up to the door and they actually smash this door with these tools, and the door finally slides open, and that allows us to make entry into the house. Now sometimes at houses the doors are not always the best ways to get into a building. The door is a very solid structure. But if you go just to the left or to the right of the door, sometimes you have just drywall. Sometimes it's faster to get through a window. We just go through and unlock the door. So going down this way, what we have is a utility line. Now, firefighters carry these utility lines. Now, what they do is they usually tie them to a door. And when they go in to search a building, obviously it's smoky, they're not familiar with the door, so they have to find a way to get out. They just simply tie this to the door, and it's our breadcrumb trail, so to speak. So we go into the building, we have this stuff with. This is almost 200 feet of line. We can go into a building, we can search a building, and if we get in trouble, we can find our way out. The hose lines also are a way out as well. Obviously, the hose line leading out of the house leads out to the fire engine. So, now these doors like these, if we were to come up against them, sometimes, like you see, these are metal doors, sometimes it's easier just to break the glass. Now, although we are going to be demolishing this building eventually, we're not going to break the glasses for this devolution right now. So sometimes the best way through is just simply through the glass. Now, the truck company, what makes it different is the large ladder up on top. The truck company is different and carries a lot of the specialized tools that you don't typically see. This carries the jaws of life. We have the chainsaws and we have the circular saws. Now these chainsaws that we have here, this is what we use to cut roofs open. Now these chainsaws, the chains on them are very, very special chains. They're called Raptor Chains. They cost almost $200 per chain. And they're very, very sharp. They'll go through almost anything. And this is what we use. We have two saws here. And we actually have the ladder that will go up 75 feet up on top. And it'll allow us to get up on top of the roof. Now the truck not just carries the ladders that are up on top, it also carries ladders in the back. We have several hundred feet of ground ladders that we can utilize. So if the truck can't get right next to the fire building, we can utilize these ground ladders to actually get up to the top. And just like the fire engines, the truck companies also carry supply hose and attack hose. This is 2.5-inch line and this is 4-inch line. This is typically what we use to hook up to the fire hydrants to supply the truck. All of our truck companies have pumps on them as well. They can do the exact same thing that fire engines can do. They don't have quite as much water. These truck companies only carry about 300 gallons of water, where the engines carry 500 gallons of water. But what we lose in water, we gain in the amount of tools that we can carry on board these trucks. So coming around this way, some of the other things that you may not know on a truck. Okay, these are what we call our this is our extrication kit system. Okay, these carry what we call the jaws of life. Some of you may be familiar with seeing these. Okay, what these are. We use these on auto extrication. What they do is they actually we utilize these to tear cars apart. We actually disassemble a car around a victim. And so that's what the truck company carries on board. It's run by hydraulics, and they're very, very strong. We have things that can spread, things that can pinch, things that can move metal. And so what we do is we actually try and disassemble the car around someone. This is specific to the truck companies. The engine companies don't carry these, but the truck companies do. Another one of the things, just like the fire engines, we have the intakes and the discharges, and this is where the truck can actually send water. And just similar to the fire engines, you've seen them deployed on the other rig earlier in the broadcast, and this is how they're stored on the truck when we're not utilizing them. Here we have our hydrant wrenches here, and these are our supply hookups that we use to hook up to the fire hydrant when we're going to be hooking up to the truck company. Inside the cab, these are where the firefighters sit. We have the capability of having 5 firefighters inside the cab. The truck companies and engine companies typically carry between 3 and 4 firefighters each. The truck companies almost always carry 4. This is the captain's seat. This is where he has a mobile data computer in the front. It gives the address and how to get to calls. It's basically our very large Garmin system to help us find where we're going to. Coming around to the front here. This is one of the tools we use to make entry into a building. This is called a breathing apparatus. This thing has been in business in the fire service for a little over 25 years. It was initially created by NASA, was one of the first people who invented this. This breathing apparatus can carry 30 minutes of air. Each one of these bottles will carry 30 minutes of air. It works very similar to a scuba tank in that instead of swimming underneath the water, the firefighter can walk around on dry land with this. Once he's out of air, what he can do is the bottle can be actually ejected from the rack, and a new bottle can be inserted in without the firefighter having to disassemble and remove the BA from his back. That is going to save us a whole lot of time. So on this side of the truck, it's very similar to the engine. The same controls, the same dials, the same switches. Anything that a truck can do, an engine can do. Anything that an engine can do, a truck can do when it comes to pumping water. As I said, all these different switches that may seem very complex, but the concepts are very simple. The engineers, those are the guys that drive the fire engines and the fire trucks, and they also operate the pump. That was just a quick overview of some of the equipment the Orange County Fire Authority uses to help put out fires and help you be safe in the community of the County of Orange. I'm Fire Captain Larry Kurtz, Public Information Officer of the Orange County Fire Authority. Thank you for your time and watching.